Coronation Street's Jodie Ramsey could be about to embark on a new romance after making a surprise match on a dating app. Tuesday's episode saw the fallout from Kit Green's dramatic dinner party continue across Weatherfield, with Sarah Platt desperately trying to keep her secrets buried after Theo Silverton's death. With Sarah distracted and struggling to find time to put together a Tin Man costume for her son Harry's school play, David Platt suggested Jodie step in and help. Jodie agreed, leaving Shona free to enjoy a rare evening out and alone with David as the couple continue trying to rebuild their relationship while Harper remains in hospital. However, it wasn't long before Jodie's attention was pulled elsewhere. Armed with a hot glue gun and tasked with finishing the costume, Jodie was interrupted by a notification on her phone. Opening her dating app, she discovered she'd received 2 matches. While the first potential date failed to impress her, the second immediately caught her eye. Viewers watched as Jodie smiled at her phone screen, with the identity of the lucky man remaining under wraps for now. But spoilers have already confirmed his identity. In scenes due to air Thursday, Jodie will be setting her sights on Ryan Connor. But her motives are set to come under further scrutiny when she makes a suspicious last-minute change to the location of their date after learning that David is due to be meeting Nick in the bistro. The development marks a surprising turn for Jodie, whose attention has remained firmly focused on David for months. Despite repeated setbacks, Jodie has shown little sign of giving up on her obsession with Shona's husband. Worse, Jodie's immediate change of location could raise questions over whether she's genuinely interested in getting to know Ryan, or whether she's simply found another way to keep herself firmly in David's orbit. According to a Coronation Street insider, Jodie's feelings towards David remain as strong as ever. "There's nothing Jodie wants more than to be with David," said the source. "We're still not sure whether Jodie just wants a piece of David to ruin Shona's life, or if she genuinely fancies him. But after her bed trick backfired, she's not giving up." The latest twists comes after a string of failed attempts to drive a wedge between David and Shona. Earlier this year, Jodie attempted to lure David into bed with her, only for the plan to backfire spectacularly. More recently, she appeared to move on when she struck up a connection with Daniel Osborne. That bond quickly unraveled when Daniel discovered that Jodie was the anonymous online troll known as Truth Teller, who had been instigating a social media campaign against Daniel for several weeks. After exposing her, Daniel threw her out, forcing her to return to David and Shona's home and placing her right back at the center of their lives. Since then, tensions have remained high, with Jodie's continued presence causing concern about her next move. The rain had been falling over Weatherfield since early morning, turning the cobbled streets of the Coronation Street into a glossy mirror of neon reflections and blurred streetlights. It was the kind of weather that made everyone retreat indoors, doors locked, curtains drawn, secrets safely tucked away behind brick walls. But not for Jodie Ramsey. Jodie sat on the edge of her sofa in a tiny flat just off Rosamund Street, staring at her phone as if it might suddenly confess something. Her thumb hovered over the dating app icon again. She had deleted it twice this month already. Twice reinstalled it. Twice told herself, this is the last time. And yet here she was. "You're just browsing," she muttered to herself, like a legal disclaimer. No harm in browsing. The app loaded instantly, a parade of smiling faces and filtered lives. Builders, baristas, gym enthusiasts, a man holding a fish, another posing with a motorbike. Weatherfield, apparently, was full of men who loved outdoorsy hobbies and suspiciously clean kitchens. Jodie scrolled absently, until one profile stopped her cold. No smiling selfie. No gym mirror flex. Just a slightly grainy photo of a man standing near Victoria Street, hands in pockets, expression unreadable but strangely familiar. Name, Daniel Hargreaves. Age, 34. Bio, not looking for drama. Just something real. If you know, you know. Jodie frowned. "That's weirdly normal," she said aloud. She hesitated, then swiped right. Nothing happened at first. She locked her phone and tossed it onto the sofa like it had burned her fingers. Outside, The rain intensified, tapping against the window like impatient knuckles. 10 minutes later, buzz. It's a match. Jodie stared at the screen. No way. Another buzz followed immediately. Daniel, hey. I thought I recognized you. Her stomach tightened. That wasn't the usual opening line. That wasn't even flirting. That sounded like history. Jodie, recognize me how? Daniel, you used to work at Roy's Rolls, right? She froze. Roy's Rolls. Of course. Weatherfield was small, but not that small. Jodie, yeah. I did. Daniel, you always used to burn the toast. A reluctant smile tugged at her lips. Jodie, that was one time. Daniel, it was 3 times. She laughed out loud before she could stop herself. Something about him felt unsettlingly familiar, like a book she'd read but forgotten the ending to. The conversation flowed easily after that, too easily. Coffee shops they both hated. People they both avoided. The general chaos of living in a place like Weatherfield where everyone knew everyone's business whether they wanted it or not. But then came the message that changed everything. Daniel, do you remember the night outside the Rover's return? The fire alarm. Jodie's smile faded. The Rover's return in. That night had been chaos. Sirens. Smoke. Panic. Something she didn't like to think about too long. Jodie, vaguely. Why? Daniel, because I was there. And I think you saw something you weren't supposed to. Her pulse quickened. She set the phone down for a moment, staring into the dim room. The rain outside suddenly sounded louder, heavier. When she picked it back up, her hands were less steady. Jodie, I don't know what you mean. Daniel, I think you do. Silence stretched between them, broken only by another message arriving seconds later. Daniel, meet me. The chosen place was under the old railway bridge, where graffiti bled into shadows and the wind always seemed colder than anywhere else in Weatherfield. Jodie almost didn't go. Twice she stood at her door, keys in hand, ready to call it off. But curiosity is a dangerous thing in Weatherfield. And secrets never stay buried for long. When she arrived, Daniel was already there. No hoodie pulled over his head. No attempt to hide. Just standing beneath the flickering streetlight like he belonged there more than she did. Jodie, he said simply. Hearing her name out loud made her flinch. You're real, she said, more to herself than him. He gave a faint smile. Unfortunately. That should have made her turn around. Instead, she stepped closer. What do you want? Daniel looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, I want to know why you didn't tell anyone what you saw that night. Her breath caught. The Rover's return fire alarm. Smoke. People running. A figure disappearing down the alley behind the pub. I didn't see anything, she lied automatically. Daniel shook his head. You did. You just didn't understand it. A gust of wind cut between them, rattling the bridge above. Jodie crossed her arms. Look, I don't know what game you're playing. It's not a game, he interrupted. That night wasn't an accident. And someone tried very hard to make sure it looked like one. The words hung in the air like smoke. Jodie's mind raced. She remembered flashes, too fast, too fragmented. A shout. A crash. Someone running when everyone else was running the other way. I don't want trouble, she said quietly. I know, Daniel replied. That's why I didn't come to you before. But things are happening again. What things? He hesitated. For the first time, his calm cracked. People are asking questions, he said. And your name came up. Jodie felt a cold ripple move through her chest. My name. Daniel nodded. Someone thinks you saw more than you've said. She took a step back instinctively. That's insane. Maybe, he said. Or maybe Weatherfield just has a way of dragging the past back up when you least expect it. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Jodie whispered, why match with me on a dating app? That's weird. A flicker of something almost like regret crossed his face. Because I needed you to talk to me, he said. And I needed it to feel normal. Normal, she repeated, incredulous. This is not normal. A faint, humorless smile. Nothing in Weatherfield is. Back in her flat later that night, Jodie couldn't sleep. The rain had stopped, but the silence felt louder than before. Her phone lay face up on the bedside table, Daniel's last message still glowing. Be careful who you talk to next. They already know your name. She turned it over so she couldn't see it. But even in the dark, the words stayed. Because in a place like Coronation Street, matches on dating apps were never just matches. They were connections. Triggers. Doors opening that could never quite be closed again. And Jodie Ramsey had just realized something far too late. She hadn't swiped right on a stranger. She had swiped right on a secret. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST.